lot of photos with idols where they have like a black bruise like mark on different parts of like their body just because. Hello! Welcome back to It's Within by Beauty Within, where we explore the depths of beauty and the magic within us all. Today's episode is something that has been percolating in my brain for a very long time, and I'm sure in Fel's too, just because I feel like there's an intersection between skincare, our own image of ourselves, and like everything that is Korea, from K-beauty to K-pop to K-dramas, and like this global influence that has so many positives, but it comes with darker sides, if you will.
And I'm actually very excited today because my peak of like getting into the whole Korean wave of entertainment kind of peaked and dissipated earlier on. I was like era of Hyori Lee, Boa, oh my god.
What year would that be? Like 2010s?
Yeah, 2010s. So it's been a while since I really like dove deep into the trends and all of that, but it's kind of hard to escape it these days because it just seems like every single trend, it's like mainstream now.
And I feel like the interesting thing in what you said was that even if you're not an active participant in K-pop, it's not something that you can avoid, or like Korean culture, because Blackpink girls are now global ambassadors for so many American and like Western brands that you see them anywhere anyway. BTS winning all these American awards. So like there's a lot that we can talk about. So the very first thing that kind of like sparked all of this was I was on Instagram one day and I came across this post. It's like a screenshot from Reddit where someone asked, how can I eliminate texture on my skin? And this girl's skin, it's perfect. Like it really is. She has really good skin.
It's like better than mine.
Yeah, like I think this just goes to show how far social media and even like all of these different trends that have to do with skincare or like all these things that we're consuming has probably altered the way that we even see ourselves. We can have a conversation down below, whether like you agree with this or not, but I feel like in Western culture, it's okay to be like, to just have no butt, to all of a sudden have like the biggest badonk, and like it's just how it is, right? But I feel like in Asia and in Korea specifically, it's more subtle, and I think it's within subtleties that there is this like illusion of effortlessness, but so much effort goes into making yourself look a certain way.
It's actually interesting if you think about like the celebrity culture within different countries, because yes, it does filter down to the masses, but almost like in the West or in America anyway, you kind of like look at them and it's aspirational, but it's also comical for some. Whereas in Asia, I feel like it's just 100% aspirational, and it's like, if I'm not like that, then there's something wrong with me. It was only recently that I dug deep into the salmon sperm DNA and realized how widespread, how well known this was. And it's just like going to the cafe and getting your matcha. It's like just such a natural thing.
So if you guys haven't watched that video, that is like the current hottest trend in Korea right now.
I'm actually very interested in breaking down some of these like services that you can get so easily that make people look like they have had nothing done and they were just born this way.
I've been just like personally curious about why idols look a certain way. So like I've looked up these like factoids and information throughout the past couple of years, and some of them are pretty fun. Like of course there's like plastic surgery, like what positions to get Botox, there's treatments that they get, the frequency that they get treatments. I remember hearing this in an interview of like a Hollywood top plastic surgeon. This plastic surgeon was talking about how the best plastic surgeons just make 2mm tweaks to your face, whether it's like nips or something, to help you look like a complete different person. So a lot of these Botox procedures aren't like massive life-changing things, but they are little tweaks. Did you know that when you smile, you know how like when I don't smile, my nose looks like what it looks like right now, right? But when I smile, you see that like this part flares out, right? So a thing that you do is that you can get Botox injection right here and right here so that when you smile, your nose does not move.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
And I heard it was really painful.
Like here?
Yeah, like right here. Just so that like when you smile,
oh my
it
God,
like...
so you don't get flare.
Yeah! This is
Wait,
like
that's
how
wild!
detailed. This is how detailed they
Oh my
are.
God. That is wild because I only just found out that people even Botox their neck to get rid of lines. Like, that's how far away I am from the world of detail. I didn't even know that. But oh my god, the nose.
So that is one. Another thing is that, you know how like there's videos online that are like how to get L shoulders like K-pop idols, and like there's all these different like arm workouts and like shoulder workouts. This is like a very subpar shoulder because all of this is like extra fat or like this muscle. So they want it to be like this. Like my shoulders should look like this.
Oh, like straight across.
Yeah, your shoulder looks pretty good. But you know how like between your neck and your shoulder right here, there's still that like extra piece of muscle? So what you do there is you get Botox right here on this muscle. I forgot what it's called. And then it'll relax the muscle so that you get this like beautiful L shape like line.
Oh my gosh.
Everyone tuning in, like if you look up any idols, they're already so tiny, but then when they just kind of like, you know, anytime they show their shoulders, it's just like this, like they're like...
Yeah, I always thought it was because they were just skinny and they had like that was their natural structure that was being exposed from being skinny. Lives!
So the thing is, you know how like a lot of people get Botox for their jaw, like if they have TMJ,
Yeah, the
like
masseter muscle.
yeah, that helps to relax this muscle, right? So for your shoulders, there's actually like a medical use for it too. Like let's say if your shoulders are too tight, and then if it's like making you hunch, and like they would recommend doing that. But I think this is more for like an aesthetic purpose. I will say I've never been interested in getting anything done in my life, but this is one thing that I was like, oh, interesting. Like I would be curious what it would be like with the thing, but then like, I'm not gonna get it. But it is the only thing that I'm like, Next, did you know that you can get Botox in your calves?
Wait, what?
You know
For
how
what?
like...
to make them not like muscular?
Yes!
Oh my gosh. Okay, like if you told me this when I was 14 to 20, like 3, I would have been, oh my gosh, because my calves were like my biggest insecurity. Like I have a very athletic, muscular leg.
It's very toned.
And it had always been been something that, oh my god, I can't wear shorts, I can't wear skirts. Like when I was in high school, I was like, why does the uniform have to give me this? Because it would like bulge, you know, every time.
That's why their legs are just like, it's just like a long stick with no bulges.
I can't even imagine being young, impressionable, and have all these things available to me.
In this day and age, yeah, especially if it's all over social media and like everything's on TikTok. Truly.
Yeah. Like back in the day, the only way that I like knew of that you could kind of slim down your calves or leg was to get that rod and like get, you know, it was crazy. Like even when you wanted to grow taller, like they break your knees or like...
I remember that. I remember in the 2010s.
Like that.
Yeah. They're like, you can grow taller if you take these pills and you break your bones so that they regrow. I'm like, oh my.
Yeah, and that was actually when I was really into K-pop. And now I actually think the more you are into K-pop, the more vulnerable you are, because like psychologically, it just makes you idolize them. It makes you want to be them. And like, it's making you want something that is just so kind of far-fetched for, I guess, like an average Joe. Sitting in your bedroom in Australia, trying to do your long division.
Okay, another one. The last one for this section. Have you ever wondered why idols don't seem to have a lot of underarm sweat? Like when they dance.
Oh, is this also Botox?
So there's many ways, there's many things that you can do, but then one of them is you can get Botox or use like very heavy like antiperspirant sprays or like things. But yeah, you can also get Botox here to stop yourself from sweating.
I know of this only because if you guys know me, I always have sweaty hands and I'm not even nervous. I just like overheat on my hands specifically. And so my ex-boyfriend actually, his mum, like it was a genetic thing where they also had sweaty hands. So we were like both sweaty hands holding hands with each other. And she actually went to the doctors to ask like, is there anything I can do? And the doctors were like, yeah, you can actually add Botox into there, and it will help the excessive sweating of your hands. So that's how I first found out about it.
Interesting.
So it makes sense to kind of relax every other area that kind of sweat.
What did you think of when you first heard that you can get Botox on your palms as a teen?
That was just crazy because I always thought Botox back, you know, when I was like younger was for women who want to restore the plumpness.
Yeah.
You know, it always had an aesthetic kind of connection, but this was more like a medical alternative to solving a sweating problem. I was like, oh, so there's multiple uses? Interesting.
And then you didn't get it. Her palms are still sweaty.
I'm like, yeah, guys, I'm still terrified of needles. Like,
okay, let's move to the treatments. I think this is interesting, especially since like we talk about skincare. This is a skincare channel. The most interesting thing is that, you know, like as a K-pop idol, you dance a lot, you sweat a lot, you wear so much makeup, especially with stage makeup, it's like super cakey and super thick. So it's normal to not have good skin, right? Or like that's like a recipe to have like more like temperamental problematic
skin.
Exactly.
Because they're always like lack of sleep.
Yes.
So that's actually something I was always confused at. I'm like, what am I missing here? Like, how do they have such good skin doing the opposite of all the things that are deemed to be good for skin?
Exactly. I think there's one part that's like youth. And then like I just remember seeing like every K-pop documentary you watch from Blackpink to BTS, someone's always fainting and someone's always sick. That just goes to like how unwell they may be, whether it's from lack of sleep, whether it's from not eating enough, whether it's from like all these like plethora of reasons that we won't get into in this video, but it's like very much alive in this industry. Exactly. Yeah. So the reason why they're able to look the way they do is that a lot of them go get treatments like skincare treatments from dermatologists or from skincare clinics at least once or twice a week, depending on your skin type and your skin concerns. I think if we lived in Korea or if anyone is watching in Korea, you're probably like, this isn't a big deal, which yeah, it really isn't in Korea because like it's so affordable and they're everywhere. A huge thing right now for evening out skin tone, especially if you have acne scars, is Fraxel lasering. And then a friend of mine was telling me that treatment here in the US for like a couple sessions is like $4,000. In Korea, it's like $40 per session.
Wild. Yes, my cousin Eric got it for his like pitted acne scars. And you have to go in once every month because it has to heal over the course of the rest of the month, and then you do it again, and it's like this very painful process because it has to go deeper into the skin and force it to rejuvenate. But yeah, he paid like a couple thousand for it because it's also something he faced for like a really long time. I mean, acne haunts you in many, many ways. I think that's the thing. Korea is like so innovative that, you know, supply and demand, there's so much supply that the price just has to go down. And like, there's so much demand that more and more like practices and clinics open.
And of course, there's like this whole skin whitening, like massive thing in the industry where they either call it like the IU injection, the Snow White injection, the Cinderella injection. It's just glutathione, where it's kind of like IV drips, but instead it's like directly into your blood so that it changes the pigment of your skin. And we know that like our skins have pigments because of melanin, or like it has color because of melanin. And so I think this thing basically like inhibits melanin production so that you just
MJ would have been the early adopter of this.
Too bad he was born here in North Korea.
I think I saw pictures of like Lisa from Blackpink, and you know, back when she was in Thailand before she debuted, she had that very tanned Thai skin, and now she's like porcelain white. And same with IU. Like, I mean, maybe it's like she also had darker skin, now is super fair like Snow White. But then I also think even like you, right? Growing up in California and then like being exposed to the sun when you're like young and reckless and don't really care about, you know, too much about it. And then as you get older, you start like taking more care of yourself and then you naturally get lighter too. But yeah, I think
But it's
for
not like
idols, it's,
that light.
completely separate.
Like my lightest, I'm still like yellow, you know? They're like white.
Hyori Lee was, I think, the exception because back in the day, Korea celebrated her tanned skin. She was like the tanned idol. But that was also probably because she had like very beautiful features and everything else, and she was like sexy and hot and all of that. But like apart from her, I can't really think of any other idol who was able to like overcome that. I think it was like only because she was attractive were they like,
Yeah.
I remember also Girls' Generation Yuri. She was also like, I think she had the nickname of like the boba, because you know how boba pearls are like black, right?
Yeah.
And she was like, that was something of her nickname, if I recall, because she was like slightly more tanned than the rest of all of them. But it was like in an endearing way. And I was like, she's tanned? Like, dang, what am I? Like you always kind of ask yourself like how you fit into that, I think subconsciously when you're younger.
The next topic we can get into is more of like body, because I feel like K-pop is synonymous with being stick skinny, and then the way to achieve that, there's of course like the diet stuff that, you know, I think, not to put IU on blast, but this is just what is top of mind because I just watched a video about her, I think eating like an apple a day, a protein shake, and like something else, and that's just her diet. And this isn't just her, right? I remember watching an interview that she did where she was just eating sweet potatoes. Or there's things that you do, and these videos are all very accessible and in your face on YouTube as well, of like people trying idol diets or people trying like, you know, so-and-so K-pop celebrities diets. So we're not gonna get into that too much, but I think like as it pertains with the body, of course, there's like, you can control intake, but you can also control like visuals of, there's this thing called carboxy therapy, non-surgical treatment used to treat and improve the appearance of cellulite, stretch marks, and dark under eye circles. That's what it's known for. But this is being used to help like blast fat basically, and there are a lot of photos with idols where they have like a black bruise like mark on their like different parts of like their body, but especially like right under your butt, like that area of your thigh where like there can be a lot of fat, or like other parts of your leg.
As in like that is an effect of getting this carby.
It's like an injection
thing?
Yeah.
Oh.
It's like you're basically injecting carbon dioxide under your skin
To lose weight.
to like lose fat.
Yeah, so it's kind of like the Asian Ozempic.
Yeah, but like not an injectable and more like instant.
When you were listing that off, I was just like, wow, sounds so good to be true. It's like hitting all the things that everyone is insecure about. Cellulite, stretch mark, under eye circles, like they even had that.
Carboxy therapy side effects. Relatively safe with almost no side effects. People may have bruising at the injection site, especially in the arms and legs. This bruising should clear up within a week.
So I guess that's just bruising from like injection.
Yeah.
But if you see it on the leg
or the arms, you know what that means now. So I think, okay, one thing worth saying is that like, even though what we're talking about has been more female K-pop idol focused, this is just as prevalent for the male idols too. Like it's not just like female, it's the guys as well, whether telling you know, people that they need to lose weight, like 40 pounds within 40 days. I think YG told Top, like TOP, they're being held to strict standards. Maybe not as high as girls, like females, but it's still there.
Yeah. When you were talking about like the body stuff, I was just thinking about those crazy Chinese trends too. I just think Asia has this obsession with being like petite and skinny. I always felt that way when I visited because I was like going through my growth roundness spurt and I was like, they're so skinny. They had that collarbone thing where like the more coins you could stack on your collarbone, like the better you were. And then like the piece of A4 paper on the waist thing.
Because I grew up in Taiwan, so I really do wonder when I visit now what my life would be like in you know, what I would think of myself and how I fit into the world within like under like, of course, like in all contexts, but like of course under like the beauty context as well, of like I wonder how it would have changed me. Probably a lot. I'm just grateful I had a childhood.
Like I was just gonna say, in the West, like I think maybe because it's more individualistic, it's less homogenous, that you're kind of celebrated. I mean, it's a whole other thing when you swing to the other extreme of being too individualistic and you're like, take me as I am, like, you know, because then there's like health associated with that too. But yeah, I'm kind of glad that at least in Australia, it was like, you do you. Of course, you're like teased and all this stuff for like other reasons.
Yeah.
You know, that's separate, but like nowhere near as much as like, oh, I need to put my photo on my resume to get a job. And so if I want a job, I have to go get plastic surgery, or like to those extents.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of like discrimination, actually.
I mean, to be fair, there's flaws in every country and there's pluses in every country and every nationality and everything. But I think specifically when it comes to beauty, I think like as we are straddling two cultures, it's helpful. Like it's a different story if you're like not Asian and you grew up in a Western culture or vice versa or whatever. The next two things are more like, it's not as like, but then it's just things that they do. So one of them is, okay, you know how when you're required to be skinny, but also have a figure, what do? You put hip pads and booby pads.
Bosom boost.
Yeah. Most of the time I think it's very, like you can't really tell, but because a lot of times, like Blackpink, they are dancing a lot, you are moving around a lot, sometimes it does shift and like you can be able to see. But I was watching this one video, Suni Bean or like Suni something, she was talking about how when she used to be an idol and like every night going home, taking out all of these things and like you just feel so insecure about yourself because you're like, oh, none of this is real. I mean, like visually, it's like as viewers seeing that, and also like the other side of it is like as an individual doing that and how it, I'm sure it messes with you.
On one hand, I can see that as it's like part of costume, right? Like inserts that's like on stage. But then yeah, when that becomes part of your identity and then like on top of that, people start, I don't know, taking photos of you not looking like that. And then you have this like body dysmorphia kind of situation going on where like all the photos you have do look like that you can't be yourself anymore. And then you start wanting to like make that new you the real you. Then you have to kind of keep going with that trajectory. There's no kind of like going back. With filters on TikTok, on Instagram, I was actually just watching this thing about JLo and how the media loves to characterize her as this like never aging beauty. But actually it's because like even when she was promoting her skincare and all of that, like there's heavy lights, heavy filters, and when you do see pictures of her, she looks like a normal 50-something-year-old woman. You never see that packaged like for people to consume. When you see yourself like that is your norm, it's like very easily depressing to see the real you and be unsatisfied.
Yeah, and I feel like even if you were to check any of the Blackpink girls, they all have their own YouTube channels now. Every single one of their videos, when it's like a selfie or like when their face is shown, some are more like obvious than others, but there's always a filter or like a beauty filter or some sort of a filter that is there.
Yeah.
And a lot of times when they're on award shows or if they're doing like the dance stages at the different music shows, a lot of agencies would have like I don't know if it's like an official thing or like an official contract, but they're like, oh, you know, if like for our girls, make sure you apply like these filters so that they're always looking flawless. And I think a lot of times even like paparazzi would filter and like edit these girls' faces because if they don't, like they're gonna get sued.
Guys, you might not even know how by the time you see it, there's been so many edits. So one is like, yeah, as you were saying, like maybe the agency has to okay every photo that every media uses of them first, which has already been touched up, etc., etc. Or contractually, they're like Ariana Grande, they know like the left side of their face is what makes money, so they're only allowed to capture the left face, for example. And they can sue you if you like do otherwise. That was Ariana for the longest time. Like,
oh, wow.
My only side is the left side, and some photographer did like her other side and she like sued them kind of thing. So like there's so much control. And with like Kim Kardashian, every photo that goes out, she has to, with her friends' photos, allow them first and then it like goes out. So it might seem like this harmless, like, oh, we were out together, like this is all of us looking good. No, like she went through each of them to process. One thing you also might not know is inbuilt into cameras is a skin softening effect, especially with the technology of cameras now. Like you can toggle, even this camera I have now, you can toggle low, medium, high skin softening. So like from the source itself, it's already started to be filtered, and then you add extra layers onto that. So by the time you see it, it's like, it's so manufactured that it's already diverged from like what is, you know, if I was to see you in real life kind of thing. So all of this just to say, like, we keep it real, but it's also not real in the sense that there is lighting. Because this is skincare channel, we don't turn on the skin softening effect, but the better the camera, the better your skin looks, because no one wants to like turn on a camera and see them like, you know, like when you video call your parents, it's just like no one wants to see that.
And like another interesting thing is, it could do with K-pop in Korea, but like also not, is there's been this viral video of the same man shot with different camera lenses, and it completely changes like, some of them, he like his nose look really big, but his face is very small, and then it like fluctuates depending on like the lens that he's using. So within like the production realm too, depending on camera, lighting, as we've mentioned, you know, the built-in features and everything, like there's also a lot of tweaks that you could do as well. I remember watching a drama with IU, it was Scarlet Heart, and this was like back in 2016, so like production isn't as amazing as it is now. And in some shots, you know how like they do like super close-up shots like this, and then through her eyes you can see like the whole production crew like holding up like a white screen to like bounce light, and then there's like all these people holding all of these different things. So like what we see is just like one side.
So I guess the takeaway of this is like, what you deem as natural is actually highly produced. And there's a part of me that like, you know, appreciates it, because you kind of have to want to step up your game to make things look and feel a certain way when people consume it. I think like the hard part is for idols specifically, or like celebrity culture, or anyone who influences, when your whole value and your whole brand and everything that you're known for is attached to your looks, you're only going to want more. And if you don't do better, and if you don't give people more, then it's almost like your brand is not elevating. It just makes me think of Kim K all the time, because that's most of the commentary. It's like, you will go to X amount of measures to maintain that, and if not, exceed your own self. And then you can only go so far and push the limit so far until your face starts to like, or your body starts to like morph into a being that's no longer you kind of thing. And then like as consumers, just to think that's like normal is when I guess like we kind of have to ask ourselves the question of like, am I being taken for the ride? Do I know what's actually happening behind the scenes? So I think, yeah, all of the things that you mentioned were like interesting, just to like break down what actually is going on behind the scenes. Like, you know, when some of our friends go to Korea, I always used to ask them like, do Koreans actually look like this on average? And they're like, no, they just look normal.
You know how there's like videos of like what to expect when you move to Korea, you know, like those types of videos, are like 5 biggest misconceptions about Korea. It's like, you're gonna walk down the street thinking it's like a K-drama and everyone is gorgeous, but like they're just humans. Like us, like you and I.
Yeah, we're just human.
Yeah.
Maybe the question to leave is like, how do you define what is beautiful? Starting with yourself, right? So like, I think thankfully we're in this day and age of, you know, giving yourself affirmations and reminding yourself of what you've done to get so far, and all the things that you can continue to learn and improve on, and kind of like take a healthier approach to natural beauty.
Like true natural beauty, true unfiltered natural beauty.
And honestly, we fight it too. Like being on camera, you kind of have to like, there's a certain expectation. And to me, there's a difference between and like fulfilling an expectation and being professional versus, what do you call it?
just completely
don't know.
altering
Yeah.
reality.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, cause I'm just gonna say, like, we will probably do a whole nother video on social media. Even for me, the accessibility of things like Facetune and like all these different apps, like the Snow app from Korea, where you can just like so easily change so many things about yourself. Even for me, it's like I've played with it before and I'm just like, this is so crazy that you can change your skin tone, you can put makeup on your face, you can like do all of these
V-line.
you can like pull in your face, you can like blur out your pores, smooth it, but then add texture back so that it's like you still have texture on your skin and you're not like a poreless dolphin. Like, it's so accessible and it's just like right there that like any of us can do it. And like even for like us, right, like we make videos on skincare and like on TikTok, on Reels, you just see these beautiful skin, right? It's not, you don't even think that it's filtered, but within the TikTok app and within the Instagram Reels app, if you record in app, it does blur your skin. And I think this deserves like a whole video on its own, but just I think more awareness around this topic can help us not feel like, kind of taking it back to the very beginning of the video, that like to have texture is to be imperfect. I think to have texture is perfect. We are perfectly the way we are, and like it's just a normal condition. Yeah, not even normal condition, it's just normal. And with that, thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of It's Within. If there are any topics that you guys want us to cover, from, you know, kind of like lifting the veil on all things skincare, beauty, even the beauty industry, leave it down below and we got you. We're on this journey with you.
Yeah.